Hello dear viewers, welcome to today's English class of BD24 online school. So far we have discussed tense elaborately and present, past and future simple. Now we are going to discuss present, past and future continuous. Through these structures we can make sentences to express what we are doing, what we were doing and what we will be doing. As we make a lot of sentences based on this structure, I believe that today's class will be very fruitful for you if you follow the instruction and the whiteboard very carefully. First of all, I have written present continuous affirmative sentence structure. So let's follow the structure at first. In affirmative sentence, we start with a subject, then we use auxiliary verbs am, or is, or are. Immediately after the auxiliary verb, we use V4, which is verb plus ing, present participle. And finally, we give an object. So let's see an example. Subject they, auxiliary verb are, verb plus ing, doing, object the work. They are doing the work. In past continuous affirmative sentence, we begin with a subject, then auxiliary verb was or were, plus similarly V4, verb plus ing, and finally an object. So let's see the example. Subject they, auxiliary verb were, verb plus ing, doing, and object the work. And finally, in future continuous affirmative sentence, we start with obviously a subject. After the subject, we use will or shall and be. Will or shall plus be plus V4, verb plus ing, and finally an object. So the example is they will be doing the work. So you see, the structures and the examples are quite similar, though there are minor changes. So let me show you the changes. In the affirmative sentence of present continuous, the auxiliary verb that we use is am, or is, or are. In past continuous, we use was, or were. And finally, in future continuous affirmative sentence, we use will be or shall be. In present continuous, am or is or are. In past continuous, was or were. And in future continuous, will be or shall be. Let's move on to negative sentences. In present continuous negative sentences, we begin with a subject, then auxiliary verb am or is or are plus the negative word not, plus we use verb plus ing, V4, and finally an object. So let's see the example. Subject here is he, then auxiliary verb is, then the negative word not. He is not, verb plus ing, watching. He is not watching, object it. So the example is he is not watching it. In past continuous negative sentence, we begin with a subject plus auxiliary verb was or were, then not, plus verb plus ing, V4, and finally an object. So the example is subject he was not, verb plus ing, watching it. He was not watching it. And finally, in future continuous negative sentence, we begin with a subject plus will or shall plus not plus be plus V4 and finally an object. So let's see the example. The example is subject he will not. He will not, then be. He will not be, verb plus ing, watching it. He will not be watching it. I hope that you have observed carefully the structures and the sentences. So let's see where the differences lie. In negative sentence, the auxiliary verb similar to affirmative sentence am, or, is, or, are, and as it is a negative sentence, a negative word, not. Immediately after am, is, are, not. In negative sentence of past continuous similar to affirmative sentence was or were. Was or were, immediately after the auxiliary verb, a negative word, not. Was or were plus not. And finally, in the negative sentences of future continuous similar to affirmative sentences, will or shall, and after will or shall, not, a negative word. So in negative sentence of present continuous, am, is, are. In negative sentence of past continuous, was, were. In negative sentence of future continuous, will or shall. And after auxiliary verb, a negative word, not, in every word. And finally, interrogative sentences of present continuous. First of all, we use auxiliary verbs, either am, or, is, or, are. Am, is, are. After the auxiliary verbs, we put the subject, and immediately after the subject, V4, verb plus ing, and finally an object. So let's see the example. First of all, an auxiliary verb, am, subject, I. Am I, verb plus ing, seeing. Am I seeing the bird? Am I seeing the bird? In interrogative sentence of past continuous, we begin with was or were, auxiliary verb, was or were. After the auxiliary verb, we put the subject, and after the subject, V4, verb plus ing, and finally an object. So the example will be was I, verb plus ing, seeing, object, the verb. Am I seeing the bird? And in interrogative sentence of future continuous, we begin with will or shall. After will or shall, we use the subject, and after subject, be, and then plus V4, verb plus ing, and finally an object. So let's see the example. Will, subject, I, then be. Will I be, verb plus ing, seeing, object, the bird. Will I be seeing the bird? So dear viewers, let me show you the differences once again. Interrogative sentence, we start with auxiliary verb am, or, is, or, are in present continuous. Then subject, V4, and object. In past continuous interrogative sentence, we start with was or were, then subject plus V4 plus object. In interrogative sentence of future continuous, we start with will or shall, then subject plus be plus V4 plus object. So in interrogative sentence of present continuous, am, is, are. Interrogative sentence of past continuous, was, were. And interrogative sentence of future continuous, will or shall. The other things are same. Subject, V4, object. Subject, V4, object. Subject, be plus V4 plus object. So you see, there are not much differences, but there are minor differences in affirmative, negative, and interrogative sentences of present continuous, past continuous, and future continuous, and you have to be careful about these minor differences. If you can keep in your mind those minor differences, you'll be able to make sentences to express what you are doing in the present, what you were doing in the past, and what you will be doing in the future. So thank you, dear viewers. Allah Hafiz.